This is Bikini Bottom, Nickelodeon's most famous underwater city in all of its glory. Alright, maybe it's not looking too glorious there, but odds are you already know all about this city. Now the question is, do you know where this place is?
How long have we been walking here, Patrick?
Doesn't ring any bells? Didn't for me either, nor did this place.
Bubble Town, a bouncing, vibrant city.
Well, now I know where Bubble Buddy moved to. And if you can't tell from that, there's a whole SpongeBob universe out there that stretches far wider than just Bikini Bottom. And today, I'm mapping all of it out. Every single bit. I'm tired, please like the video if you enjoy it. And of course, there's no better way to start off mapping the entire SpongeBob universe than with Bikini Bottom itself. So, Bikini Bottom. There's a lot to say. It's the heart of the ocean, and naturally appeared in the very first episode of SpongeBob, that being the pilot, Help Wanted. It starts off as any good pilot should, establishing the setting.
Here we see Bikini Bottom, home of one of my favorite creatures, SpongeBob SquarePants. So of course he lives in a pineapple, you silly.
I feel like now it's so normalized for us, but think back to kids in 1999 watching this for the first time. You're hit with a double whammy that not only is this town named after skimpy swimwear, but also has a sea sponge that lives in a piece of fruit. No wonder the show is a cultural milestone. And who the episode kicks off is SpongeBob performing his morning routine before getting ready for his big job interview at, you guessed it,
There it is. Finest eating establishment ever established for eating crusty crab.
I'd argue about that finest eating establishment thing, but when all the town's got is this or the chum bucket, I can't really blame SpongeBob for this opinion. SpongeBob heads in for his interview, but before he can really even make a proper first impression, he lives up to the whole flop like a fish line from the intro song. Thankfully, he's got a friend who's all lined up to put in a good word for him with Mr. Krabs.
Ask Squidward, he'll vouch for me.
No.
Alright, maybe Squidward isn't that reliable of a reference. Mr. K decides to try and get the sponge out of their hair by sending them on a phony quest to get an impossible spatula. Seems pretty mean and all, but don't worry, karma still applies into the ocean, as the place is stormed with anchovies as soon as Spongy Boy heads off to the bargain mart. The old Krusty Krab is literally flooded with anchovies, and just as it looks like Krabs and Squiddy are about to drown in the swarm, SpongeBob arrives in the nick of time, with his impossibly perfect hydrodynamic spatula in hand, and gets to doing what he does best. I don't know what type of tech that thing's packing, but whatever it is, I want one. Maybe it'll do the cooking for me. I can't even make ramen properly. Anywho, SpongeBob quenches the hunger of all those hungry fish, sends them home happy, and snags the open fry cook job to boot. Not too shabby for a first day, if I say so myself, and not too shabby of a first appearance at Bikini Bottom either. We saw Con Street, Bargain Mart, and most importantly, the Krusty Krab all in one go. And while, yeah, I could talk a whole lot more about all the other places in this town, your Sandy's Tree Domes, Chum Buckets, and Goo Lagoons, like I said, I already did that in my other video. So I feel it's best to start looking outside of what we're used to see under the sea and look a bit further out on the map. Or actually, okay, one last thing in Bikini Bottom. While it's the center of our map, it may not always be at the center. Some of its residents have some interesting ideas sometimes.
Take Bikini Bottom and push it somewhere else.
Yeah, that looks like they moved the whole town into a trench. Which, hey, we'll get into where that is in a moment, but for simplicity's sake, Bikini Bottom is gonna be the heart of our map. Now with that out of the way, let's head down, way down. It's time to look at what I think is Bikini Bottom's most famous neighbor, Rock Bottom, where you aren't just dealing with your average everyday darkness.
This is advanced darkness.
Me and so many people love that line so much. But it's one of the reasons that makes this place and its debut episode in general, Rock Bottom, so dang memorable. It starts off with SpongeBob and Patrick heading home from a day at Glove World, and you know, things seem great. The bus driver's annoyed, they're smacking him around with a ballon and all that, all around a great time. That is until the boys realize they're on the wrong bus.
You are now in leaving Bikini Bottom. What's wrong, SpongeBob?
Yep, these boys are headed for the wrong bottom. I don't know if I should rephrase that. Anyway, after a super dangerous plummet, the boys arrive at Rock Bottom, where essentially every little aspect of the place is foreign to them. Even with something as universal as the bathrooms, you can't tell who each belongs to.
Just wait for someone to come out, and then you'll know. Wait for one more.
Maybe the bathrooms are gender neutral? Oh no, I wouldn't risk it with folks as scary as that walking around. Honestly, the bathrooms aren't even the most concerning thing.
Soil looks different.
You mind putting me down?
I can't think of anywhere else where even the ground you walk on is as discomforting as the rest of its surroundings. Except for maybe New York. That was a joke. It was a joke. Sorry, New Yorkers. After the bus picks up Patrick while SpongeBob is gone, the little yellow guy is left hopelessly waiting for buses that always ditch him, only getting more and more peeved by his crazy surroundings. Like I said, Rock Bottom is a strange, strange place. Culture strange. The accents are definitely strange. Just as strange as how they treat SpongeBob.
I can't understand your accent.
Next bus to Bikini Bottom.
With this place, I can't even tell if that really is an accent they have or if they're just messing around with SpongeBob. Maybe even the folks under the sea can't help but do a little trolling every once in a while. Thankfully, as all hope seems lost, the nicest anglerfish I've ever seen decides to help SpongeBob out, returning his lost balloon and helping give him a literal lift home. What a guy.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Genuinely, that may be the nicest random civilian in the series. And I mean, honestly, judging on future appearances at this place in the series, the debut episode may have kind of put this place in a bad light. Take, for instance, the episode Out of the Picture.
Monsters!
They're my friends.
What up?
Honestly, none of those guys seem that bad once you get to know them. I mean, what place with a roller coaster based on it could ever be truly bad? Oh yeah, I bet you didn't know about the rock bottom plunge. Take a visit to the Mall of America in Minnesota if you want to see what it's like to ride the bus downwards at a 90-degree angle. It is worth it. My tangent about SpongeBob roller coasters is now over. Now, from the lowest depths of the ocean, we're heading up to the realm of the gods. That's right, we're going to Atlantis, home of King Neptune. And yeah, this place is certainly about as royal looking as it gets, as we see in its debut episode, Neptune's Spatula.
Yes! At last, someone worthy of being the royal fry cook.
Like I said, absolutely royal looking. And speaking of royal, let's talk about the royal pain that is King Neptune. This guy, despite literal photographic evidence from Patrick, doesn't believe that SpongeBob pulled the golden spatula from its prison of Greece. It's like the sword and the stone, except instead of becoming the new king, you become a lifelong fry cook to gods. Yeah, I don't know if I'd want to pull that, actually. Anywho, Neptune decides to let SpongeBob try and prove that he's as much of a fry cook as this golden spatula prophesizes he is via a cook-off. One issue, if SpongeBob loses, he must give up fry cooking forever. SpongeBob accepts the challenge, and while the stakes are high, the cost of the venue for the cook-off are even higher.
The Poseidon!
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome!
That's one heck of a fancy venue for a celebration of all things artery clogging, huh? Naturally, being a god, Neptune manages to make 1,000 patties before SpongeBob manages to finish his first, quickly winning the competition. Until the taste test, that is. Neptune's patties are so utter trash according to the audience, but SpongeBob's patty, well, it gets even a god to do something unholy.
Why, it tastes so good, I'd like to try it a second time.
Yeah, that's pretty awful. Not very befitting of a god residing in a palace up in the underwater clouds. What was that sentence? But despite winning the challenge, Spongy declines Neptune's offer to become the god of fry cooking, instead offering to train the god of the sea on how to make the patties as well as his own. And in case you were wondering, yes, Atlantis does show up quite a bit more throughout the series, and though it doesn't always look the same, you can always bet Neptune is acting like a jerk within its castle walls. Yep, he's always a big royal dirtbag, whether that be in the original SpongeBob movie.
Wish you'd try a little love and compassion instead of these harsh punishments.
Would be nice.
Squire!
Or even in another main series episode like Clash of Tritons.
Created a cure for all mortal diseases!
How many times do I have to tell you we are gods?
Casually destroying the dreams of his son. Normal King Neptune behavior. Guess it's the price you gotta pay when living in a kingdom as lavish as Atlantis. And speaking of Atlantis, let's get our head out of the clouds and head off to way over to our next location, Atlantis. Again. Alright, yeah, let me explain. So there are actually two Atlantises in SpongeBob. There's the Atlantis where King Neptune lives, and then there's the Lost City of Atlantis, where LRH resides. That stands for Lord Royal Highness. And yes, this place is just as pretentious as that name. The episode Atlantis SquarePants gives us our one and only look at this lost city, and why was it lost for so long? Well, because the only way to get there is by uniting the pieces of an amulet to summon a bus fueled by song, of course. And the theatrics of this place are only just the beginning. Get a load of that doorbell to this massive palace.
Welcome to Atlantis. I've been expecting you.
Maybe this place should have stayed lost. Sorry, not a big fan of royalty. I'm a bit jealous of their castles while I'd have trouble affording SpongeBob's pineapple. The only saving grace of LRH is, well, he's voiced by David Bowie. But you know what? Pretentious as this place is, it's got everything. Massive pits of money, a laboratory full of life-changing tech, and even a giant museum full of the greatest works known to both land and sea. And they're not just to look at.
It looks like you could step straight into it. You can!
You know, alright, maybe I'd be alright with putting up with LRH if it meant I got to live inside paintings. Just don't put me in any Bosch paintings. Good heavens. Bet you didn't think you'd be getting late Renaissance art jokes in a SpongeBob video. You're welcome for the nightmare fuel, by the way. Alright, that's enough nerding out. Anywho, Atlantis also is the home to the world's oldest bubble. Though after SpongeBob and Patrick accidentally pop it, they're kinda kicked out. Like immediately. It's not pretty. There's a big fight and everything. Surprised the thud of Patrick's skull against the wall didn't sound more hollow. We all know there's nothing up there. Thankfully, the gang manages to replace Atlantis' old major tourist attraction with a new one, Plankton, though that doesn't mean LRH has forgiven the group entirely.
Dispose of this quickly. We can't survive any more visitors like these.
Honestly, the feeling is mutual, LRH. I don't know if I could tolerate you. I mean, you're David Bowie, and you're the only character in this episode who doesn't sing. Like, what? We're done with Atlantis, both of them. Let's move directly left of Bikini Bottom to a location from a superior Season 5 special, New Kelp City from Who Bob What Pants. After SpongeBob screws up the days of all of his closest friends, with them each coincidentally calling him Idiot Boy of all things, Spongy does what any depressed sea sponge would do in that situation, go where the wind takes him.
Goodbye, Bikini Bottom. Bye, life as I know it.
Maybe a bit overdramatic for a single bad day if you ask me. Though things quickly get even worse for SpongeBob as he takes a tumble off a cliff, grows a lump, gets conked on said lump, and wakes up with amnesia. The poor sponge can't even remember his own name, instead being renamed to, well, I'll let the homeless fish folk take it away.
Cheesehead the Brown Pants.
Cheesehead, huh?
Not a good name. I mean, SpongeBob SquarePants is iconic, but all things considered, isn't a fantastic name. But it's far better than a Cheesehead Brown Pants. And it isn't just a new name SpongeBob ends up getting, he gets a new home too, in New Kelp City.
Whoa, I live in a dump.
Hey, watch where you step in!
Sorry,
Hey,
sir.
remember my joke about New York earlier? Looks like the writer's room in Nickelodeon agrees with me. And this city's about as grimy as it gets, without even being completely illegal to blow bubbles. No clue why. Guess folks just don't like dish soap around here. Nobody allows bubbles to be blown, workplace or otherwise. Heck, New Kelp City's got a whole greaser gang that's only goal is to beat up bubble blowers around the city.
Let's rough them up, boys! Where'd he go?
Hey, the gang may have a silly goal, but I mean, that knife comb looked very threatening to me. I don't blame old SpongeBob, Cheesehead, for darting off like that. Thankfully, SpongeBob's quick wits allows him to blow the bubble poppin' boys away, and that's when the truth comes out. Turns out the city's been held captive by this gang for years, and now that Cheesehead's freed everyone from their tyranny, he's been appointed mayor on the spot. A decision that surely won't backfire.
I'm not exactly sure what a mayor is.
Nothing secures my vote faster than someone admitting that they don't even know what they're running for. I love incompetency. Thankfully, the Bikini Bottom gang manages to kidnap SpongeBob and bring them home, hitting him on his head and restoring his memory of his true hometown. And New Kelp City was never seen again, until Squidward went into witness protection and was relocated there.
Evening, neighbor!
Evening, Preston.
Now, in New Kelp, Squidward is known as John Dolphin, and he's a professional triangle player. Why do I want to see a whole series of that premise now? New Kelp City. Apparently, you'll always be a land of new identities and new opportunities, and for that, I salute you. Even if you and all your citizens are grimy.
Is there something wrong with me?
Yep, like that. Just like that. Time to go. Speaking of getaways for Squidward, let's talk about maybe the most famous getaway he's ever had. Tentacle Acres, Squiddy's personal paradise.
Wow, canned bread! This town is great!
I mean, what paradise wouldn't have canned bread? The only other thing I'd need is powdered toast. This place debuts in the episode Squidville, right after SpongeBob and Patrick blow up Squiddy's place for the final time. It's the final straw for Squiddy, who decides to follow advice from an ad on TV and move to, you guessed it, Tentacle Acres, a place full of nothing but squids who act just like him.
I've seen more alert people in a retirement home.
This place is better than I expected!
I mean, hey, at least he knows what his neighbors are gonna be like. And his neighbors' neighbors. And his neighbors' neighbors' neighbor. They're all jerks. That's what I'm getting at. At least Squidward's happy, I guess. Though that does not last long, as while the paradise complete with bike routes, dance classes, and clarinet groups sounds great, it starts to lose its luster very quickly for Squiddy. Yes, even the canned bread couldn't hold him over. Eventually, Squidward decides to start embracing the fun-loving nature of SpongeBob, nabbing a reef blower and causing some havoc. think I'd rather have 4 eyes and 2 noses, but I don't even want to think about what Patrick's stench doubled would do to me. In the end, Squiddy ends up using the reef blower to blast himself away from Tentacle Acres and return home. And you know what? Even if his place is still rubble, at least it's still a place to call his own, and a place with some variety. And that's something I can't necessarily say about our next stop, as we head up to the very top left of our map and into the Kelp Forest, a vast landscape of undecipherable green nothingness. This is the designated place to get lost when it comes to undersea life, or a place to lose someone on purpose in some people's cases.
Get this bitch in here! Go get
Oh, know how Spongy puts up with an employer who ditches him in the middle of a forest. Most people can't stand a coworker who coughs too much. This place first debuted in the episode Club SpongeBob, and again, I sort of already covered that in my last video, so I'll give you the super rundown on it before heading back to the other locales. Basically, Squiddy wants to join SpongeBob and Patrick's uber elite club, but once he climbs into their clubhouse, he realizes why it's so exclusive.
There's no room up here.
We've been trying to tell you.
We've been stuck up here for 3 days.
That's why I keep getting rejected from Mensa. They just don't have enough room for me at their meetings. That's a smart people club, by the way. Look it up, it's funny. Anywho, the gang tries to escape, but gets launched a million miles from their hometown and into the lush maze known as the Kelp Forest. And while Pat and Sponge decide to listen to their club's magic conscious advice and sit around and wait, Squiddy decides to try and find the way out on his own, but to say he gets lost is an understatement.
I was already here! Which way do I go? I'm lost!
I get lost in the grocery store a lot, so I think I know a quarter of the fear Squidward is feeling here. Unfortunately for Squiddy, all paths lead right back to SpongeBob and Patrick, and even with a miraculous picnic falling into their laps, the conch refuses to let Squiddy have a bite. Finally, it looks like the day is saved when a wilderness explorer stumbles upon the missing sea friends, with Squidward telling them all about the horrors of living with their stupid plastic conch.
You mean like this?
The magic conch!
And you can already guess what the conch suggests the club should do next.
Nothing.
The magic conch!
Absolutely brilliant plan. Always listen to plastic, folks. It'll lead you in the right direction, like into a labyrinth of kelpy danger you'll never escape. No, all right, I'll give the Kelp Forest this. Sometimes it gets some good music. Who can resist the soothing sounds of Kelpy G? I know I can't. If only Ticketmaster didn't suck so much, I could have seen him in person by now. Let's get a really small one out of the way up next. One issue, we gotta get there by train, and it's far out. Really far out. According to Eugene Krabs, it's on the opposite side of the ocean. Wait, does that mean the Pacific Ocean? I guess now I understand the name, Far Outville. This place debuted in the episode of The Great Patty Caper, SpongeBob's take on a train car mystery. Essentially, Mr. Krabs decides to step up his security measures and ship the secret formula somewhere far away from Plankton and decides to store it in the bank vault of Far Outville, which is only reachable by train. And maybe it should have been called So Far Out There's Nothing Here at Allville, because I mean, look at this place.
It's too easy.
And yes, you saw that right. Plankton still found a way to the formula, because he's Plankton. Of course he did. Thankfully, like usual, things work themselves out. And that's all there really is to know about Far Outville. That's literally all we see, a bank. And you know what? Some towns don't even have that, so good for Far Outville, I guess. Let's get back a closer bit to home, back to the Atlantic Ocean, which, yeah, is where Bikini Bottom is, by the way. Maybe I should have mentioned that earlier, but oh well. Let's look at the Great Barrier Reef, which, yeah, I didn't know was an actual place in the series until I went back and rewatched its debut episode, SquarePants Family Vacation. In that one, SpongeBob's family decides to head off on a road trip and bring Patrick along to visit the Great Barrier Reef, which apparently is an amusement park underwater. Honestly, I'd buy that. I'd also buy a CD at the family's road song.
Let's all sing the road song. Sing it all day long.
Come on, you tell me you wouldn't listen to that on repeat for 6 hours straight on your own road trip. Unfortunately, even with singing as great as that, the car breaks down before they get to the reef, leaving the boys with nothing to do but toil away at a service shop playground until they go flying down a sewage pipe and into a trench, and a dangerous one at that.
Patrick, I found some berries we can eat.
Note to everyone, don't eat random berries you find in the wilderness. Brother pulled a Willy Wonka in the chocolate factory with that one. But the berries aren't the only thing you gotta worry about here. There's 1,000-foot high cliffs you can fall off of and only barely trampoline off to survive, and even worse than that,
Patrick, have you been using a different moisturizer?
It's just the same old moisturizer I always use.
Guys,
Giant, bloodthirsty mosquito monster things. Every good road trip needs one of those. Boy howdy, I'd love to hug one of those and get like super malaria. Thankfully, the two manage to swing their ways out of the mosquito's grasp but get pulled into a tourist trap of a gift shop. The horror! Eventually, the boys use a whistle they got from the shop to find their way out. After taming the giant mosquito, and realize that they got more than they could have asked for from that trench than they could have gotten from the Great Barrier Reef. Which, yeah, technically this doesn't mean that this is the Great Barrier Reef, but it might as well be by the boys' standards. Or maybe it's even better by the boys' standards, I guess. Either way, I'm gonna call it as such because it's probably close to it thanks to all that driving Papa SquarePants did. Now we're off to the coast of Goo Lagoon and over to Inferno Island. And while you might think that it has a volcano or something on it, as a matter of fact, it's something that's hardcore in an entirely different way.
Rise and shine!
Yep, this is essentially Bikini Bottom's Alcatraz, where the worst of the worst go. And also SpongeBob and Patrick. So, let me explain here. In this place's first appearance in Mates of Summer, SpongeBob and Patrick are getting ready to go to summer camp, but accidentally get on the wrong boat and take a trip to the Slammer.
Boy, that looked like a boring boat to be on, huh, guys?
Looks like it's already gearing up to be a blast. Look at those happy faces. The prison boat finally arrives to Inferno Island, and we're introduced to the warden of this place. He isn't taking kindly to rabble-rousers like Pat and Sponge.
Couple days in the hole never hurt anybody.
No idea they had a hot tub.
He says the hole never hurt anyone, but that's a full-on skeleton I see down there. I think whoever that was may beg to differ. But no matter what it is, be it eating tires, the chum hole, or tedious stone smashing, SpongeBob and Patrick manage to have fun with all the prison activities they're subjected to. The only thing is, they notice their prisoner friends aren't having as much fun as they are and decide to recommend an activity the whole group can enjoy. A musical. And not just any musical. A musical on a homemade boat. Can you guess where this is going? Well, before we get to that, I gotta say, it really is a beautiful show. Heart-wrenching, right? Well, wait till you get a load of the encore.
Turn the ship around!
Like watching Titanic all over again. I'm tearing up. Not because I'm sad, though. Just laughing at how stupid those inmates were. How are you expecting to get home on half a boat? In the end, the camp counselor from Sun Fun Island, the place SpongeBob and Patrick were supposed to go to, which is presumably right next to Inferno Island, I guess, comes in and finally gives the warden the perfect form of torture for his inmates.
That is very good, Bruiser.
Nothing screams torment more than meaningless arts and crafts. Nothing. While we're talking about musical performances, let's take a trip above the sea for a moment. Won't be the only time we do so, but it will be the only time we have a performance as heart-wrenching as what we saw in prison. Behold, the Bubble Bowl in all its glory.
Bikini Bottom Super
It looks pretty incredible there already. But once you get a good look at the performance it's about to have, you'll understand how this place became legendary. It all began in the episode Band Geeks, where Squilliam Fancyson gives Squidward the task of filling in for him and his band at the Bubble Bowl, the most prestigious venue in Bikini Bottom, all just to watch him fail. Squiddy decides he's gonna take the offer though, and realizes he's gotta get a band fast. About 200 flyers later, he's got his band ready for the first lesson. Question number 1, who has played an instrument before?
Is mayonnaise an instrument?
Mayonnaise is not an instrument. Horseradish is not an instrument either.
Oh yeah, no doubt the Bubble Bowl's in good hands. Things don't go too well for the rest of the week either, as each night of classes just ends in more and more disaster. In fact, on the night before the performance, the entire band is at each other's throats, leaving Squidward in tears as he gives up and goes home. Thankfully, SpongeBob decides to rally the team together and practice all night. The next morning, Squidward goes over to admit defeat to Squilliam, but gets the surprise of a lifetime.
Who's that? That would be my band!
We're ready to perform, Squidward.
Alright, they may look good, but the real question is if they sound good. And if you know a thing or two about their performance of Sweet Victory, you know they don't just sound good, they sound perfect. I don't blame Squilliam for passing out. This is a soul-shatteringly good performance. Now that we're through with the Bubble Bowl, let's head to another bubble-centric location, this time in an even more literal sense. Bubble Town. It's to the right of Bikini Bottom, according to its debut episode, Bubble Town.
Bubble Town, a bouncing, vibrant city.
Yep, as that intro says, this place is composed entirely of bubbles, even the food.
One, please.
Here you are.
That ain't exactly appetizing to me. I'm not a fan of chemical aftertaste, but hey, I'd imagine sponges are used to the taste of soap in their mouths. And in case you had any doubts, yes, Bubble Buddy does live here. In fact, SpongeBob even gives him a hand fixing his bike. He's an expert bubble blower after all, but pretty soon Spongy realizes all it takes is one slip up for him to bring Bubbletown down.
Amy, will you marry me?
Yes, I will!
Was that just a full-blown double bubble murder we just witnessed? I don't know if we need to censor that or not. Well, apparently we may need to, as SpongeBob's destruction earns him 3 life sentences in bubble jail. And when Mr. Krabs gets word of SpongeBob's phone call, he heads on over to do a little more than bail him out. I shouldn't be surprised that this is what happens when you mix bubbles with pinchers, but this is destruction on another level. In fact, Eugene pops the entire city, and if it weren't for Bubble Buddy's giant tub of spare bubbles, Mr. Krabs would have had a whole lot of sudsy blood on his hands. Thankfully, blowing a new Bubbletown gave Eugene an opportunity he hadn't thought of before. Franchising. Yep, this place doesn't have a Krusty Krab. It's got a bubbly crab.
Hey, what's the exchange rate for bubbles to real money?
There is none.
We're done here.
Again, that's the equivalent of like blowing up a restaurant. Guess Mr. K really just doesn't care about bubble folk, huh? Let's get away from that problematic crab and focus a bit more on Plankton and his big move to Dullsville, a solid 83 kilometers away from Bikini Bottom. Why does he move? Well, the episode this place debuts in is titled Plankton Retires. Feel like that should tell you right there, but if you need me to really spell it out for you. If that doesn't tell you Plankton's tired of trying to steal the formula, I don't know what will. So yeah, it looks like Plankton's finally done. Though spying Eugene and SpongeBob learn he's got one last plan up his sleeves. Go to the Dullsville shoe store, get some loafers to match his new belt, nab a room at the retirement home, get some gray hair and glasses, and finally, the last step of his master plan. Well, all right, that looks less like a plan and more of what I do every single day. All right, that settles it. This was not ever an evil scheme, ever. Even Mr. Krabs decides to blow his cover and congratulate Plankton on finally retiring one issue.
I'm at the Krusty Krab right now stealing that formula. I'm a decoy look-alike robot!
All right, spoke too soon. Genius plan, by the way. Too bad SpongeBob and Mr. Krabs had the same idea. Yeah, the crab and sponge who followed RoboPlankton to Dullsville were also robots, meaning nothing's changed. The formula stealing cycle is here to stay forever. Now let's touch on another time a character made a big move and look over at Bass Vegas, where Gary ended up when he ran away from home in the episode titled Have You Seen This Snail? AKA Gary Come Home.
We were broke, cold, knitting.
Yeah, it's that one. After SpongeBob neglects Gary for a week when he's too addicted to the Dirty Bubble Challenge to do anything but mess with the paddle ball, Gary heads off in search of a new home, and boy, does he find one. I mean, I don't blame Gary. I can't resist a neon sign at night. I'm like a moth to a flame, or a moth to a neon light, I guess. I'm just like a moth. While in town, Gary ends up meeting a new owner simply known as Grandma, and she quickly starts to pamper Gary even more than SpongeBob ever did. Electric blankets, cookies, being tucked in. Actually even takes him out on the town, going to the Base Vegas salon, flower shop, and of course, the arts and crafts store.
Oh, sweet scented pine cones. Hey, Gary.
There.
Now from that clip, tell me, do you think Patrick thought to tell SpongeBob that he saw Gary at a random shop with a random lady somewhere else while they're in the middle of looking for him? If you need me to tell you the answer is no, you don't know Patrick Star. And while SpongeBob keeps searching, Grandma keeps on spoiling Gare Bear. Cookies, dancing, deviled eggs, even more cookies. Yeah, that's sort of the problem with Grandma. She goes overboard with the food, and Gary finds that out in the most horrifying way possible. This lady has probably killed more snails than she's baked cookies. Good golly goober, man. Anywho, Gary thankfully manages to make it out of Granny's and run home to SpongeBob, but let it be known, anywhere there's a casino like Vegas, there's bound to be old ladies, and where there's old ladies, there's cookies. Far too many cookies. After all those cookies, we gotta lose weight with some exercise, and thankfully, I think I know a place. Karate Island, debuting in the episode titled, you guessed it, Karate Island. And being a fair distance away from the shore, you may think that this island is hard to find, but I assure you it isn't.
That's it over there.
What makes you think that's Karate Island?
I don't know. Lucky guess?
At least they're subtle. So after SpongeBob is invited to the island by a VHS claiming he's been given the title of King of Karate, Sandy decides to tag along on the trip, obviously skeptical considering, well, she's better at karate than him. SpongeBob gets a little cocky after defeating some of Master Udon's greatest students, and so she lets him take this throne while she heads home, which is great and all until he gets chained into his throne. But I mean, he's the king of karate. Surely he doesn't need Sandy and can handle this himself.
I need you! I can't handle this myself! No!
Takes going through 3 floors of some dangerous karate masters in a Bruce Lee Kill Bill outfit, no less, before Sandy finally makes it up to Udon, where he still has his spongy captive, and even catches Sandy as well, before he reveals what's really going on. Apparently, SpongeBob is forbidden to leave.
Until he signs this contract. Real estate.
You mean this whole thing was a scam to get us to buy real estate?
If I can buy Karate Island for myself, honestly, I'd get on that. The place looks sick, I won't lie. Unfortunately for me, it's apparently just a timeshare, which if you don't know, is a scam. And so enraged as any normal person would be, Sandy busts out, and after a very odd fight with Udon, sends him through a wall and into the ocean. Well, I guess that means the place is looking for a new owner. I'll be the first one at the doors of the auction house, thank you very much. And while we're on the topic of islands, let's go ahead and cover these unnamed ones real quick. These are from the episode SpongeBob SquarePants versus the Big One, and are where SpongeBob, Squidward, and Patrick, as well as Sandy, got sent after a massive wave at Goo Lagoon stranded them. Sponge, Pat, and Squiddy got stranded together, though thankfully met a few friends who were there to guide them through their new surroundings. They ain't without their quirks, though.
The ocean works in mysterious ways. Mysterious waves.
These guys do seem right up Patrick's alley, just look at them. According to these scraggly looking dudes, the only way to get back to Bikini Bottom is to surf there. And even though they try really hard, you can't teach 3 people as incompetent as SpongeBob, Squidward, and Patrick to surf in just one day. Though apparently one guy can. Jack Kahuna Laguna, JKL. The only issue is this guy has never been seen, and the only way to get to him is supposedly too dangerous to ever travel. Luckily, those 3 are dumb enough to try and reach him anyway. I mean, honestly, things don't look too bad from what I'm seeing. Looks like a relaxing trip. Alright, as per usual, I spoke too soon. I mean, honestly, but it wasn't all that scary, and they find JKL's lodge pretty easily. The only issue is he's even weirder than those last surfer dudes, being much more mystical and insisting the only way to get home is to not only surf, but catch a massive wave that only shows up once every 1,000 years. Meanwhile, Sandy's actually doing much better on her own island.
You've built a 5-star hotel, steam-powered generator, car that runs on coconut milk, and espresso bar. I almost don't want to leave.
Well, I know which one I'd prefer to be on now. Maybe I can head on over and see if that espresso bar is still operating. I need coffee. This is a long video, man. Anywho, against all odds, it turns out that JKL's crazy training actually managed to allow SpongeBob and crew to ride the big one all the way back home. And you know what that means? Dance party. This is a weird episode, man, and a weird set of islands. This is what you get when you don't even name a place. Next up, before we hit the most obscure SpongeBob universe location of them all, we're gonna quickly run through all the extra locations from the SpongeBob movie, starting with the Thug Tug, just beyond the Bikini Bottom County line. That should be a good indicator for what type of place this is. The Salty Spittoon is a place where only the baddest of the bad can get in, and this place is where the people who are even badder than that go. Like the guy who stole SpongeBob and Patrick's panty wagon was in there. If carjackers are in there, you know it's a place you probably don't want to be, or at least park. SpongeBob and Patrick trying to create a diversion so they can steal the spatula-shaped key to their car back, but when the plan flops, they head on off to distract themselves by doing whatever they do best.
Bubble party!
That looks like some party. Though I can't say I'd want to go to it knowing the rules of Thug Tug.
Babies will be beat by every able-bodied patron in the bar.
That's right!
Yeah, if I were SpongeBob and Patrick, I'd have just about melted into my boots right now. Which they end up doing when they pull out the litmus test for Bubble Blowers, the Goofy Goober song. Though thankfully, before the boys start to sing along, some other two-headed bubble baby blurts the lyrics, and before you can even say, boy, this is gonna be some hospital bill.
Man, that was a close call.
See, notice how everyone didn't just immediately go after the two-headed dude. They all just started fighting one another. If that's how you pass the time at the bar, count me out. Those guys are scary. Though they aren't the only scary things SpongeBob and Patrick run into in this SpongeBob movie. Need I remind you of the giant skull-paved highway, an evil old lady tongued anglerfish leading directly to a, what was it again?
Yeah, monster-infested trench.
Oh yeah. Well, it looks like a pretty dangerous place, and once we get a look down there, it definitely lives up to that description. Lord only knows what all is down there, but I'm pretty sure it's nothing a couple of men can't handle. Oh yeah, apparently all it takes to get by all the scary monsters down here is a little confidence, a set of kelp mustaches, and of course, some ham boning. Well, now that I know that all it takes to get through this place without being disemboweled is a couple of thigh slaps, I think the fear factor's pretty much gone. I bet my grandma could probably get through this place, honestly. Finally, we have the town that SpongeBob and Patrick spent the entirety of the original movie trying to get to, Shell City. Though this isn't on any normal map of the sea, no, this one's on land. In fact, it's not really a city at all. It's a gift shop.
Marine gifts and sundries.
Shell City is a gift shop?
Hey, what I tell ya? Disappointing? Maybe, but it makes up for not being a big, exciting city by being a slaughterhouse. After SpongeBob and Patrick are kidnapped by the giant Cyclops that they were warned of, they wake up in a fishbowl and are surrounded by dead fish folk, with their carcasses being turned into this.
Oh no! He's killing sea animals and making them into smelly knickknacks! We're next!
You think so?
Pretty terrifying. That's a really dark move for a kid's movie, not gonna lie. Shell City's a million times scarier than that trench from earlier. I mean, SpongeBob and Patrick basically die here. It's only thanks to a miracle that they're not left a dried up, disgusting diorama. The tears of the Sponge and Pat Boy don't only bring themselves back, but also all the other poor sea critters the Cyclops has caught, and they aren't happy. Well, let's mark that down as one victory for Fish Against Humanity. Honestly, with how much trash we throw in the ocean, they deserve a win like that, especially against a maniac like that Cyclops. And finally, I've saved the most obscure location for last. See, we've been outside of Bikini Bottom, we've been outside of the ocean, but now we're outside of the planet. We're heading right to the moon. All right, maybe we're going around the moon instead of right to it. See, that's the thing about the moon's debut episode, Sandy's Rocket. SpongeBob and Patrick accidentally launch off to the moon while Sandy's asleep, wrapping around the thing, and then landing back into Bikini Bottom. Then naturally, despite everything looking the same, they still think that they're on the moon and start to think everyone is actually a Moonanite alien impersonating who they know, naturally.
Okay, shoot me, but don't take me money.
We don't want your money, Moon Man.
They got a man begging and they still shoot. Guess space madness robs you of empathy. Meanwhile, Sandy actually heads to the moon to see where her rocket went and realizes nobody's there.
That SpongeBob is as dumb as a sack of peanuts.
Can't disagree with that in this case. You know, he's usually a little smarter than this. Once SpongeBob and Patrick nab everyone to Bikini Bottom, including a returning Sandy and even Patrick himself, they fly back home, crash landing on the moon. And then it starts to dawn on SpongeBob what's really going on.
Bikini Bottom sure looks different. Uh-oh.
SpongeBob!
Not exactly the moon trip I can imagine Sandy was wanting, though don't worry, she actually does get that trip she's always wanted in a mooncation. And that one, Sandy's just about to head out when SpongeBob climbs aboard her rocket with a goodbye cake. Mark that as 2 moon trips SpongeBob has hijacked, though thankfully this one doesn't end as disastrous. The two managed to have some fun you really could only have on the moon.
I call the 720 nut job. Munchie!
Hey, don't ask me how Sandy was able to take her helmet off in space. She's the scientist. There's probably a perfectly logical reason. Unfortunately, the trip is called off early thanks to SpongeBob puncturing the rocket fuel's tank, but hey, before they make it home, they managed to get the one thing that mattered.
There.
It's never really a trip until you got the pictures. Even if they brought moon rocks home, I wouldn't believe them. Those could just be stones from a backyard or something, or a meteorite, and there's nothing special about a meteorite. And that is the map of the entire SpongeBob universe. Let me know where you'd want to go, or if I missed a place you love in the comments below. Click the video on screen for more awesome videos, and until next time, aloha!